Hey everybody, this is Talkative Karl, back to another discussion video, something I've been wanting to do for a while now. But thank you all for joining me. I just something I'm really wanting to talk about for the longest time. Probably something that's been noodling in my head, uh, probably like a year ago, but I didn't think about doing something like this. Didn't even consider doing like on camera discussion videos before, but I think uh, I think now is the best time. First of all, happy Black History Month to all my brothers and sisters out there. Um, I just gonna cut to the chase. No more fucking slave movies. The reason I bring this up because it was like at least a year ago when this movie came out called Antebellum, and it was pretty much like the story is just spoiler alert by the way. Uh, some group of like racist white people kidnap some black people and bring them to a secret plantation to recreate the you know during the period of the years when slavery was acceptable and all other stuff and do all these horrific things. And this is around the height of the George Floyd situation, and it really like got to me. Maybe it's just like poor timing on uh well, not poor timing. I'm pretty sure it was like well after the whole George Floyd thing, but it's not even the it's not the directors or the writer's fault that when the movie released they didn't know that was going to happen, obviously. But my issue at the time is it's like why. I'm not even sure if the director was black or not. Even still, this should be like a you know a moment to reflect. Okay, we ever since Roots, there's been like at least a handful of slave movies, and I'm being very generous. Probably like a handful, but there's a considerable amount of them. I was like so fed up. It's like another freaking slave movie. Why? And it's like we got 12 Years a Slave. I think came out before that, and it's just like Django Unchained, and you know Song of the South. It's like you would not get away with this kind of crap. Oscar, no matter how good the writing is, or the cinematography, whatever the case may be, or even the great the actors is, and I don't blame the people involved wholeheartedly, but it should be like I think we filled the slave quota for at least a couple of decades, because you would you would not do this with like any other marginalized group of people. You would not. Can you imagine if they constantly every 2 or 3 years put out a Holocaust movie of the most horrific stuff that happened to the Jewish people, or even like another Egyptian movie where during a period when uh, the Israelites were being enslaved by the pharaohs and all that stuff. Like, can you imagine that they constantly like it's like oh, it's Oscar grabby kind of stuff like let's make like you know, like their their suffering is like oh my god the suffering is like so poignant. I got like or original idea about how my interpretation or my take on this. It might have been like an impressive imaginative thought and creative outlook on how this particular period was horrific, or like I'm pretty sure we get it. Anybody who hasn't seen it, they can easily go back and uh, show them all these other stuff. I think there's plenty of movies like that where you uh, well, it's just that I figure after Black Panther, I would expect to see more Afro futuristic films, something that isn't about our pain, like our suffering. That was just like a very specific time. Black people had like a rich culture before that happened, and we definitely had a rich culture after that happened. And that is it's been showcased, of course, but it's like it's I guess it's not Oscar gravity half the time, and it's like I guess you gotta pull those heartstrings or get those white guilt or some crap like that. It's it's uh it's just annoying, and it's like something like I'm fed up with. I mean, why we feel the need to like a director or writer go to Hollywood and say, "Oh, I got an incredible take on how uh, the Native Americans got slaughtered, throughout this land because of the colonizers." It's like, why would you pitch something like that? Or at least, you know, every other director or writer comes down to so and so's office and say, I got an idea about another slave movie, but my take is that this, that, and the other. And sometimes, just like Quentin Tarantino, he's a big name director, so of course wherever he pitches is gonna go through more times than not. But I seen Django Unchained. It's cool. But it's just that I think that was the last movie with like slavery elements that was in it that I actually saw. But I like Jamie Foxx. He's a great actor. I love the stuff he's in. But it's just tiring. I do not feel like we need any other freaking oppressor movie. But they don't. They wouldn't do that with any other culture because how many times have we seen like a Robin Hood movie or another medieval type of movie where like you see like white people uh in their past elements where they shown to be in their royal garbs or like in a position uh, in their Pacific history because they were the colonizers. They, over time, they, of course, got into certain regions and pillage and plunder, wherever culture they came across. Um, you, that's why when I made the video, or at least started doing the list of my favorite uh, non superhero movies, some of those movies like Coco and what was the other one? Uh, and Coco and Soul, where you show like a culture that isn't about their, that you see the other side in a fun way. It isn't about pain or, in like a, any suffering or it isn't about, them as a monolith. This is just them, embracing their rich culture and history. So I wanted to talk about in a video with some ideas about some other. I mean, maybe this won't reach out to anybody, but I just want to show off some things that I mean, some things that has came out that I really enjoy and respect that reflects, people of color in a particular light that is you can definitely embrace and respect and enjoy. It isn't about anything that horrible that happened to them. And I also will pitch some ideas about some stuff that can showcase more than just that period in time, and stuff I really want to see in the future going forward. Because like I mentioned about Black Panther, I expect since then, because Black Panther was astounding, and I seen that movie in the theaters 3 times because it was that good. I never watched a movie in a theater multiple times before, and I respected that movie so much. I enjoyed that movie so much, and it's like gave me a sense of pride as a black man to see, movies or at least our people uh, being shown in a light that's never been done before, uh, and I wanted to see more of that. But it's like it's been like a few instances that I got that, but I wanted more of that. I thought it was like, okay, we gotta pitch this. This should have been just like after the Dark Knight, or at least the Nolan trilogy. DC took it where like, oh, we gotta have everything dark. I was kind of hoping that people or Hollywood look at that film and they started to see like, oh, we got to have like some Afrofuturistic movies in the future because that's what everybody's gravitating towards right now. And it shows that like in the movie Coco, like it shows that if you give people of color uh, access to those writing rooms and like have them in those rooms behind the scenes, producer role, writers, directors, whomever that influence these kind of movies, I want to see that represented very well because that's how you get great storytelling if you give us a chance, or at least stop just falling back on Oscar grabby stuff that you knew that will get like buzz or whatever. So I'm gonna have a little idea here, but like I said, movies that I think was like a perfect representation of the black culture, like Black Panther, phenomenal movie. R.P. Chadwick Boseman, Mike King, everybody involved in this was phenomenal. Michael B. Jordan, great, one of the great MCU villains since Loki and Purple Man and Kingpin and Thanos. This is like perfect, uh, like a perfect MCU villain where not only shows that you know the villain isn't wrong. It's just like with Thanos, it's like the villain isn't wrong. He's just gone about it, the wrong way. Because you know, if you've seen the movie, uh, just a spoiler if you haven't. Killmonger, his father, kind of like splintered off from not splinter off, but he was on this kind of secret mission or something like that. But he, did something that was very traitorous to the king of T'Challa's father, T'Chaka, at the time. And it's back when Killmonger was just a kid. Uh, he pretty much betrayed his people. So, Killmonger, end up growing up because without his father, because spoiler alert, T'Chaka had to kill his own brother, uh, but uh, pretty much left the kid to fend for himself. Grew up in like rough neighborhood and had to uh, you know uh, be in a society that's away from, because he heard stories about how like the Wakanda is, how great the society is, a rich culture and be around your people, but he was denied that because it was promised to him so long to he'll be there. But it's just circumstances. If you've seen the movie, you understand the circumstances didn't play out that way. So fast forward into the movie, yeah, he's resentful because like uh, you're denying our people resources that you have that they could have used for centuries. Like, where was Wakanda? Where was Wakanda when our people were suffering for all that time? And so he just decided to just you know uh, take over and try to use the resources to pretty much wage war against the oppressors. Now that is just and then great storytelling by Ryan Coogler that yeah, he's right, and T'Challa went about it the right way. He took his own way rather than being shutting people out like his ancestors did, but he also don't want to embrace the racist ideology of his cousin, but he opened Wakanda up to the world, and but he's not going to be there to conquer everybody, just to feel like just to you know the whole eye for an eye thing. He didn't want to go down that route like Killmonger did. I thought it was like very poignant, very great storytelling, very good movie. I love this movie. One of my favorite MCU movies. One of my favorite movies. Period. But uh, once you see like even throughout the movie, but once you finally get into Wakanda in the beginning of the movie, you see every like almost every tribe, they're represented, and like uh, it was so every culture like in their like garb, and it's just so beautiful. I wish that at the time I had like got some you know African garb to go see Black Panther in the theaters, first day in theaters like everybody else did, but didn't know where to get it and didn't know how to at least didn't know where to get it or how much it might end up being, and like so close to the freaking movie being released, it's like I'll just go without it. But it was so good, and I expected going forward since this movie to see more movies representing us in like a more positive light, that this is our history, this is what we could have been without colonizers' interference. But then, of course, we have the Disney movie Soul that just came out this past Christmas. Another great movie, another perfect example of it. If you've seen the movie, it isn't about like him in like an inner city struggle uh, or anything like that. So it's just a guy who's a jazz musician and just trying to find his purpose. It's just no different than Inside Out, where it could have been easily like a black kid or a white kid or a Chinese kid or whomever. It could have been anybody. It did not even matter. That's how good it was. It was like he just took a character and he just happened to be black, and he just trying to achieve a lifelong dream and goal that he figured would take him someplace because that was his spark. That is easily relatable to anybody. And I thought that was like so good. The jazz was perfectly represented uh, in this film, and I thought Cowboy Bebop represented jazz pretty well, and it does. But this movie took it a whole nother level. I just love this movie, and it just shows what can be done when you have black writers and artists and people behind the scenes getting this push forward and create it. The When they was previewing the movie, or at least showing the stills of the images of black people in this movie before it came out, like the realism of the hair, those images of people in barbershops representing people's hair to like the right amount of detail to perfect afros and perfect black, the perfect way black people's hairstyle look. That is just like it was just like phenomenal. And it's like at the time I was like, where was Pixar keeping this hidden away for? Like how long they've been hiding this? We all knew they had the skills to make great art designs and drawings and all this other stuff, but like this took it to a whole nother level. I mean, it blew my mind. Just like the images and like things in motion was just flowing so well. But like I said, like showcasing Jimmy Fox's character and Soul was very good. Even though his head kind of looks like a pear, it still is a great looking movie. And like he's just like an average Joe. Jess, his name Joe, and he's an average Joe. He's not like he's just like an everyday guy. It's nothing too over the top with it. And this is a great representation. Luke Cage, another perfect example of a great character. Now, this is a show on Netflix that I thought was very good. Uh, the second half of season 2 was a little rough. I gotta be just straight up with you guys, but you know, besides that, first half of season 1 and the entirety of season 2 of Luke Cage was just phenomenal, and just even in the season 1, it's been times when they quote or show like streets and buildings named after famous black people in history that did what they could for the good of their community because they loved it so much, and that showcase that a guy, a bulletproof black man, uh, stood up for his community. He was reluctant at first until he got a kick in the pants. Pretty much the whole great responsibility thing from Spider-Man. Uh, a guy who saw that uh, a bad person is pretty much abusing his own neighborhood. He steps in to put a stop to it, and it's like you want to uplift your own community, not tear it down. And you know, of course, he's relegated to Harlem, New York, but it's still like a great. If you haven't seen Luke Cage, I think it's still on Netflix. Probably, you can check it out. It's a phenomenal show, and it's like the black people are perfectly represented in this. You get an inside look of what it's like in most neighborhoods like Harlem, and it's like there's good people there. Not everybody's like thugs or criminals or anything like that. There's good people living there too, just trying to get through a day, and it's just a great another great representation of black people. This movie, I didn't see personally this movie, but the actress involved was on Blackish, and she's on Grownish. I just want to take the time in saying that those TV shows are another great representation of black people, black families. Like, despite how you might feel about Bill Cosby, like the Cosby Show for the longest time was like the touchstone of at least the leading example of making like a good representation of a black family. It's not like uh, any like rapper or ball player. It's like a doctor and a lawyer raising a family uh, in like a decent neighborhood, and like and just going day to day, raising a family and dealing with like everyday problems just like anybody else. Just like with Martin, the TV show Martin back in the day, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Blackish, all those are perfect examples of good black television. And this actress involved in Blackish is very good actress. She's Yari Shadi, and she, if you haven't seen Blackish, it's on Hulu. You can binge watch the. I'm pretty sure it's going on in the sixth season, fifth or sixth season by now. But it's like a very good show. I mean, she still involved. She pops in and out in the past season or two. But a couple of seasons ago, they started Grownish, where she goes off to college and then she starts her own little show with her being a star. She is very good. And then the girl who plays her little sister, Cheyenne. I don't know the the actress's name, but she starred in like a movie that she helped produce and like was heavily involved. She was the youngest one. I think she was like the youngest producer in like a movie she did with was this in no Regina Hall. She did a movie with Regina Hall a couple years back, and it was like a huge deal that this young lady, youngest black lady, to be a producer of a big film. It was like a big deal for her. So it's like, uh, and this movie is like pretty much like a decent love story between two people of color, and it's like it isn't about like their. It could have easily been like white people and just like a run of the mill rom com kind of thing. It's not a rom com, but it's just like a decent love story. What I want is something like this, where it's just that you know, it's kind of not Romeo and Juliet vibes, but it's kind of like just two people from different upbringings. One who is worried about getting deported, but she found somebody that It's kind of like the whole thing with Destination Wedding that I brought up in my review of, or at least video about my favorite non superhero films with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder. Just like, you know, two people with different walks of life, cynical ideas about what love is and that kind of thing. I want to see like something like that. This is like real. It's not like you know hokey or anything like that. I expect and don't use it. Don't do it around Christmas or Valentine's Day. That's a cop out. That's a crutch. Do it. This came out in May 17th. Just like a random uh, time. I think it was like a last year or a year before last that it came out. But uh, I want like a decent rom com with two good black people who are doing well in life, not struggling, not thug or bum or anything like that. This is just like two people with different walks of life, doing like everyday kind of job, and just put a decent rom com out like Love Jones or something like that. Put it out there on a not Valentine's Day or any other holiday, just like a random average summer day, and just have actual black people involved, so that way it can be produced as well as this has, because it's we don't tell love stories that seems genuine anymore. Is always like those stupid Hallmark kind of level of schlock, and it's like no, it's like we don't tell like good black love stories like we used to back in like the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. It's like they just like it wasn't funded or produced or written very well. It's just since then it seems like it's like Hollywood, I guess, as for the longest time I feel like nobody really is going to be coming to these kind of movies. It's not going to be turning a profit. Like I said, if get the right people involved, like Soul and Black Panther, you see the dividends come to fruition. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, I do suggest you check it out. If not for anything, just support Yara and her. She's gonna be a big star one day. I guarantee you. She's very good. She's very funny. So if But if you want to talk about, or at least represent, famous black people who did uh, what they could for the community, or at least what they did for black people, or at least people in general in history, like I got at least a few ideas here. But this one they already came out, Judas and the Black Messiah. Check it out. As just inspired by true events of a Black Panther member who, uh, you know, well, it's not really spoiling anything. Of course, most people back in those times, they did something for the community and end up paying the ultimate price for it. But to them, obviously, it was worth it because they want the best for our community. They wanted the best for our community so that way we can pick up the torch and run with it until the next generation to pick it up from us. Judas and the Black Messiah is a very, very good movie. Uh, then we have another individual. I want to make sure I get this name right. Garrett Morgan. I got it in my notes here because I won't forget. Uh, Garrett Morgan. You know, a movie about him will be interesting because he was the one who invented the safety hood smoke protection device. Basically, the precursor to what firefighters use right now to cover their masks to protect them from smoke in the line of duty. A black man pretty much saved countless firefighters' lives. Uh, you know, for because of him from decades since his the invention. Long after his death, he was the reason why if you have a firefighter member of as a relative and the basic gear that he or she uses was thanks due to a black man, Garrett Morgan. Then we have Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker was a black entertainer in France who also helped the allies of France spying on the enemy and passing notes and information to the allies of France. She was a black spy, which you can easily tell a great movie about Josephine Baker pretty much saved countless of lives of the Allied forces just by passing off intel she heard while she's entertaining in lounges and clubs. It can easily be a great film, a good spy thriller with this woman. Now we got Henry O. Tanner. Now, just a little factoid about me. I went to elementary school and graduated at elementary school called Henry O. Tanner in Chicago. Named after this man. So, I'm pretty sure I knew this back in the day, but it's probably when I've did a quick Google search on this. Speaking of, I want to just say what I got here is what any writer or director or anybody in Hollywood, producer or otherwise, can just do quick Google searches on these people. It's not that hard. I just did a quick Google search on these people. What I'm going to do right now in this entire video is just me doing just the briefest of Google searches and just pretty much handing you a good, like a notion of an idea that could bear fruit if you let it. But Henry O. Tanner was the first African American painter to gain international fame. He painted. If you look at this up, two of the paintings he did was called "Spinning by Firelight" and "The Good Shepherd." If you're an artist, you might know these things if you're like an art buff or anything like that. But if you do just a search on Henry O. Tanner's paintings, he did like a whole plethora of paintings. It's a very good pieces of work. Yeah, but two I wanted to at least bring up, Spinning by Firelight and The Good Shepherd. And of course, in his younger years, he had to work just to move from America to France, just to get a better life. So, uh, no, it was like, uh, was it France or just London? It's one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's France. Uh, he, you know, put himself uh, uh, through school in France at an art school, where of course there was still racism, but it wasn't as horrific as it was in the states at the time. They just wasn't give most people wasn't giving him a chance anyway until one teacher of his actually did, and of course, there's a he was one of the few people that got his the teacher's seal of approval, or at least some accolades, because Mr. Tanner you know created like very beautiful pieces of work, and he saw that in him, took a chance on him. It paid out in huge dividends, and not even just financial, just the sheer work of art that he uh, uh, did. It's just phenomenal skill, and he wanted this uh, black man to be uh, acknowledged and accepted, and shown that this is somebody you cannot ignore, and like his pieces still are shown in high regard to this day. So this can easily be like a great movie, just about Henry O. Tanner and his life as an artist and his upbringing. It's just just phenomenal work. Now, this young lady, Marie Van Britten Brown, did you know she was a full time nurse at the time, mind you, but she invented the early version of the home security system that we know of today. She was a full time nurse and still found the time to, because of the neighborhood she lived in, she took the time to made the invention, or at least the precursor to the uh, home security system that we have today, thanks to a black woman. A black woman constantly saving people's lives. I mean, these individuals, like, and of course, like uh, Henry O. Tanner. I mean, like Garrett Morgan. Of course, there's plenty. They invented plenty of other things or created plenty of other things. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Uh, there's plenty of black people who created things that pretty much saved countless of lives, and it's just the only reason I bring these people up because there are so lesser known black creators that pretty much not that they was doing it for shine or anything like that. It was just that people like Malcolm X or MLK and Rosa Parks got the bigger spotlight above a lot of other black people, or even like George Washington Carver. Even he got like a bigger light because of the peanut butter stuff. But there's other lesser known famous black people who did a lot for people, for inner cities or just people in general, or even helping out in times of war. We was there helping people who didn't think black people were people. They thought so less of us, and yet we go out our way. Not even just black people, people of color go out their way to try to, do stuff for the betterment of mankind because we, took the initiative. So, yeah, but this is just, past individuals that's long since been dead. But you want to do movies about, good black people of today, you got someone like Colin Kaepernick. obviously this man deserves a movie or a documentary. Just like for what he did for like kneeling, and of course people was like up on the take now, but it was like early 2020, or even past that. He was like up on the take about how like police brutality is like it's just like a danger to community, not just black community at large, but just just a community period. Nobody should die by overzealous cops, or at least racist cops, especially who's supposed to protect and serve, and he was kneeling just to protest against police brutality, and it didn't take until the death of George Floyd for everybody to come wise to the situation. It's like, oh my God, like he's been telling you all this. This all could have been avoided if y'all just listened to the man. But like this man deserved to be like on the list of like yeah people who did so much for the black community, like MLK and Malcolm X. Like he should be on that list, because Colin Kaepernick is a phenomenal individual. It's a shame that he was blackballed for a long time from playing ball, because he's a great ball player. There's a reason why I don't even watch football anymore. At least for prior to that situation, I at least watched football for the Chicago Bears, but or at least in general for Thanksgiving. Either like whoever was playing on Thanksgiving, I used to watch football then, and at any other time out of the season, I watched only for the Chicago Bears. I don't watch any football period after like what happened to Colin Kaepernick. So I was like, I'm not watching football anymore. It's just what happened is just so ridiculous that he got blackballed, for so long from playing. It's like you honestly not going to give this man a job, and now y'all want to do a 180 and say, oh yeah, we see the error of our ways now. I'm like, it's all could have been avoided. Just listen to people, but you only care about money, and half of you is only caring because your revenue is getting affected. But Colin Kaepernick definitely deserves uh, uh, a movie representing him, his life, what he did for like the black community. He's an all around genuine dude, and honestly, like he definitely deserves like maybe not. I personally think he deserves like a holiday for like MLK Day, but at least he should be in that same uh, list of names as in for the greats like MLK. Colin Kaepernick personally, I think, belong on that list of great black people. You got first black VP Kamala Harris. Uh, of course, like long time ago, probably like I was like 90s probably. She has like because she was like she was running office during for the state of California for back in, like pretty sure it was in the early 90s, and she has she nobody's perfect. She did certain things that people look back on didn't think was like the right move, but all in all, right now she is just like she represents all there is when it comes to like black girl magic. Honestly, she and Michelle Obama definitely deserve all the accolades. You definitely deserve like a movie or like a documentary. I'm pretty sure there might be a documentary already about her. I could be wrong, but if not, she definitely deserves one. Like she is, she had like a very fulfilling. She does have a very fulfilling life, and what she managed to accomplish, because she, like the Obamas, wouldn't even have been allowed to set foot in the White House centuries ago. She would have been like catering or something like that centuries ago, but now she's the VP, VIP, the MVP of the White House. So she definitely deserves the respect, all the respect, along, of course, with the first black president, Barack Obama, Chicago's own. Well, I guess we share with Hawaii, but Chicago's own Barack Obama, his entire family deserves the definite recognition. Definitely deserves to be on that same list as MLK, Jesse Jackson, Malcolm X. This is the first time I voted was the year when he was running for president. I voted for the first black man, and like to this day, like that still is a high for me. And I, and like people were so worried about what might happen to him because years prior, people made so many jokes about how, like, oh my god, white people wouldn't accept no black president because like people was worried that he might get shot or something like that, at some point before he was even set foot in office. But people were so on board for this. A lot of people were so on board for this. This is like it was like a it wasn't. I don't think it was like a landslide victory at the time, because he was going against Mitt Romney, I think, but it was like a pretty good race, but he won like a decent majority of the votes, and it was like a astounding moment, and that definitely should be highlighted so much more. This man and his entire family is just the pinnacle of black excellence, and just like him and his wife are just the king and queen of just I won't say the king and queen of black people, but it's like they're just like yeah, exactly. They're likable. They was like the most likable presidential family. I thought the Clinton family was probably decently likable, and John F. Kennedy's family were decently likable people, but Obama family just took it to a whole nother level where he is just like a genuinely good man and like did so much. I mean, there's some people who complain that he didn't do too much, but it's not his fault that at the time the Republicans had control of the Senate at the time, so he couldn't get too much stuff pushed through. But what he could and what he did manage to accomplish was still fantastic. And like thanks to his man, we finally caught and killed the guy who caused the 9/11 terrorist. I forgot his name. I don't even need to repeat the man's name because he's long dead and he deserves the burn in hell. But Obama was the one involved in making sure that guy got because of the horrific stuff he did on 9/11. Barack Obama, within at least a few months into his presidency, eventually he got the guy where it took 2 terms with Bush before he eventually had to pass the reins to Obama, and it's like it is what it is. But Obama's definitely like a phenomenal individual. Him and his entire family deserves so much respect, and it's like never speak ill of this man or his family. They are not they're not the ones you should be trifling with when it comes to black people. They are black excellence at its finest. Do not mess with these people. Do not you better put some respect on their names. They are the Obamas. They are just fantastic, phenomenal people. They're just like they're everything. But now I have another idea so far as like a good black film. Now I wanted to bring up about the if you want to make a movie about like people like, because I came up with an idea because so many movies about like medieval Europe and like all these kings and queens, knights, and Robin Hood and all this other stuff. There's so many of that going around. that um uh black people had like a rich history of, and still to this day have rich tribes and warriors, and like just you know uh just like a rich culture. There was a life with black people before the colonizers even came into the picture that should be represented as well. That you could easily tell a story like just representing them and a particular time in that tribe, or at least take a tribe and make a story around them, or at least have researchers go to any one of these tribes and like talk with them, like from your perspective, what was it like day to day in the life of this particular tribe? Now, this one in particular uh, should have numbered these things, but I was gonna go through all these different tribes because if you known these, if you're like from Africa, or you've been to Africa, you'll probably recognize a lot of these people. But because this is not in any particular order, I should have numbered these things. I'm pretty sure this is like the Himba tribe. I could be wrong, but I'm just gonna go through all of them and show you the pictures, and you'll probably at least probably know a few of these. Of course, we got the Zulu tribe. I mean, matter of fact, this should be the Zulu and the Zande tribe of Africa. They're towards the end of this, slide, this snippet of a slide, and you got the Hazibi, the Mayasai, Zimbaru, Zoza, San Bushman, Karo, Himba, and Hamar. Now, I might have butchered a couple of these, but if you look at these slides, they're like, it's like there was culture, there was a life, an adventure prior to anything that happened when the white man came. There are like at least hundreds of centuries of a life, like, and you can tell anything you could, any kind of story you want in any one of these tribes, that it's like it doesn't take much imagination. It's like like with soul, anything that you can tell with white people, you can tell with black people. Just put black people in it, and it helps to have black people involved in the writing process and the directing process and research, and that's all that stuff. This is the Cairo. I remember that because this guy reminded me so much of Tommy Davidson and Ace Ventura, when nature calls. Uh, I'm pretty sure that tribe in that movie was based off of the Cairo tribe, obviously, because they have like the white paint. But yeah, uh, I mean, look at these. These are all like just black. This is black beauty. This is like black culture. There's so many, like hundreds of different tribes in Africa that besides Egypt, that you can easily. I mean, of course, Egypt, because Egypt is technically like a mix between black and Middle Eastern, that deserve a fair, right representation, instead of having white people cast as Egyptian people. For it bugged the crap out of me. Like I mentioned this when I brought up Prince of Egypt in my video of favorite non-superhero films. It's like you got to have actual black and Middle Eastern people in. If you're trying to talk about Egypt, it's Africa. White people are not involved in it unless they came there from Europe. That's just my take on that. Obviously, it's like casting Hindu people to represent the king or queen of England. It wouldn't make sense. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, we created so much music, art, tapestry, food. Like it's just like. I mean, why was that? I mean, why is it so hard to just do the briefest of briefest of research. This is me doing just the briefest of research. Can you imagine what somebody would do if they took like a week or two worth of, or at least months worth of time into like if you want to tell the story of the Zande people, for example, like travel to Africa and talk with that tribe and the tribal leader, and have black people involved with you and do this proper research, make sure they represent it correctly and not as quote unquote savages. And this don't just apply to even black people. You can tell like so much with like Native Americans. They have a rich culture too. You saw so much with like Coco was a perfect example where you can tell such a rich culture with like Mexicans and Latin America as a whole. It's just like they got so much culture and history that you took the time and instead of making another rinky-dink Robin Hood movie, you can tell a story about like the Karu people or something, and let's just this is like I said, the briefest of research. This is not hard. I do not want another goddamn slave movie. There's so much more to us than just that briefest of instance. It's not like they, obviously they're not doing it on purpose to hurt black people or anything like that, but just I'm just tired of seeing that and get all Oscar grabby because it's easy. And like try something new. Now, I also want to bring up the fact that black, of course, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. Not a lot of people do, but the colonizers kind of pushed that on a lot of cultures, especially black people, and pretty much adopted that. But just like with Egypt, and just like with Hindu and Japan, black people actually had a pantheon of gods way before the colonizers came over and pushed Christ on us. Even though Christ's worship had been spread out, but it shouldn't have been forced on us. He didn't want that, obviously. And he is all about choice and free will. He wanted people to choose him, not be forced upon people. And that kind of goes against the whole idea of free will. But Africa had like a rich pantheon of gods and myths in their background. Just for example, we got Olurun, God and creator of the universe, father of Ursus, also known as the Sky Father. It's a little. You can bring that down a bit so you can see her face. You got Umoja, African divine mother, deity of mankind, the divinity of the sea, and daughter of Ortala, and wife of Originu. I had butchered that, thoroughly, but okay. I really love this picture. This is probably my favorite one. And bring that down a bit. And got Abba, goddess of marriage. And of course, this is just images of just other black people dressed in this. But you can see that you can get any black person, not even just famous black people. You can just get like any number of black people who are up and coming actors and actresses, or even well known, or slightly well known, to be cast in even like a children's or just like the Jet Li Jackie Chan movie Forbidden Kingdom showcase a lot of Eastern gods and goddesses, and it wasn't like a I wouldn't say it wasn't well received movie, but it's just like it was a movie. But you can easily do that with about African gods and goddesses, like just with beauty and like I don't know, make it like a children's kind of thing, man, so many children's stuff like Inside Out and all this other stuff. Like, can you imagine like a Pixar movie with a kid, African kid, and go on an adventure, uh, like the video game Hades and like Greek gods. You get so many stories about people meeting Greek gods and like like the like Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. You literally have some kind of teenager who meeting all these gods and goddesses and go on this adventure to try to solve some kind of mystery or anything like that. You could do something similar to like Percy Jackson, but swap out Greek gods with African gods and with a black kid. And just like, uh, it's just like a good, it's like so simple. And it's like, why is this not brought more? We got Shangu, god of fire, lightning, and thunder, and male power and sexuality. You can do so much with this, and it's just like, why not? Why not? Take the time to just, like I said, make like a Percy Jackson thing, but with African guys and then an African boy or girl, and just going like a crazy adventure kind of thing. Make it like a teen kind of movie or a PG-13 teen movie or like a children's Pixar movie. You can easily do that. I mean, it's not hard. You've done it 1,000 times with white people, but people of color had their own pantheon of gods before the white man came. And then the last slideshow I want to show off is this character. What is it? The Impondulu, the lightning bird. Now, like I said, this is gonna easily be like a Pixar thing, where like if you've seen like trailers for Raya and the Last Dragon, another perfect example of a good a good representation, because like Mulan and Raya and the Last Dragon have like these cartoonish dragons, and I mean like you can easily have any black person, the funny black person, a comedian like Craig Robinson or Eddie Murphy to voice a silly or Disney-fied version of the Impondulu, a lightning bird, and with a kid going like some kind of adventure to save their tribe or something like that. Like I said, this is just me doing like the briefest of research and just offering some ideas that can easily bear fruit in Hollywood if you just take the time and just give it a shot and allow black people in the writer's room and do the proper research. Don't make them like this, all these people look stupid or like look like savages or, just don't be ignorant about it. I just want to get it off my chest. I just wanted to like at least showcase there's so much to black people more than just their suffering, and that something that could easily be represented and let shine. And that's just my take on the subject. Yeah, just be more inclusive. That's the proper word I was probably shooting for. But just like, you got like perfect examples of like inclusivity that's not hokey or just because we can tell when people are not being genuine with their inclusivity, when they feel like they're just like slapping a band-aid on it and just to fake it, fake being woke and all the other stuff. It's like that's we can tell that more often than not. We can tell, and I really want to see something like this in the future. I expect that these kind of things that I listed off, something like that, since Black Panther. Because none of these things, I mean, like, you got a whole list of these things, and even more so than what I just grabbed off of the internet, that you can easily tell a story with. Like, anything you can tell with white people, you can tell with any other culture in the world. But I expect in the future more good black films like Judas and the Black Messiah or Soul, as like you shown you can do it. So we expect more from you. So that's just my take on the subject. Thank you for joining me. I don't know if I will be doing another video after this. I might want to just take a break. I'll probably do couple more videos because I still got uh, the list, my favorite anime, my favorite video games, a video for the all my favorite DC and Marvel films. Still got to do that. Those 4 videos will probably be uploaded for the weekend, but I'll probably take the time on Thursday since I have the time to do so by then to do a video and try to get as much out as possible. I'll try to get this uploaded on YouTube as soon as I can. But thank you all for joining me. I just wanted to, just like I said, just get this off my chest and offer some just ideas because these could easily be great films, and with the right people, can easily be like Oscar worthy or even Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales, another perfect example of like great film with a black person and just a strong, very strong idea you can easily do with any one of these because that movie definitely had some like black people involved because the fact that and in Miles Morales game he had black people involved clearly because every time Miles Morales is represented his hair is perfect just like with Soul they had people to make sure they are shown looking sharp and and respectable. And I expect more from writers. If anybody in Hollywood who's like doing any kind of writing or having any kind of ideas about with black people being represented and all that other stuff, I expect it. I expect more of something like Soul. I expect more from something like Black Panther. These are trailblazer movies, and I expect something like this Afrofuturistic or even like something like Soul, just everyday people just moving forward in film. I don't want to see another freaking slave movie for at least a couple of decades. That's done. Okay, we are so much more than that, obviously. So thank you all for joining me. I'll see you guys soon, and happy Black History Month. Wakanda forever.